Hi everyone, thanks for joining me today. So we're just leaving Highway 5A here. We were traveling southbound and we're going on Roche Lake Road. It's going to take us to Roche Lake and Roche Lake Provincial Park. There's a bunch of other lakes up there. Some of them we drive right past, but about 15 or so minutes if the road's good. Going to be heading basically in an easterly direction. It's a really popular lake. There's a resort at the end that I don't know if it's like timeshares or something like that. I have rented cottages up there over the years with a campground, and there used to be a restaurant there. The last couple of years with the pandemic stuff going on, I don't know if they're open, probably closed. But they do, as well as camping, there is a bunch of logging and stuff activity up here, so you gotta be aware that you could meet up with a logging truck fully loaded. This first little bit is a little sketchy if you meet one, because it's fairly narrow, kind of blind corners, and they'll be coming downhill, so chances of them stopping are pretty slim. Neat little valley here it cuts through. We got these little fences. You see that thing on the right? I don't know what they're for. Maybe I was thinking for stop maybe wind erosion, blowing the topsoil away, or it does get fairly windy up here. That or maybe snow drifts or both. I don't know. Neat little spot though. You'd never see this from the highway. It's kind of, even though it's just a couple minutes off the road, neat little spot. So along here, this is a 2-lane dirt road, so you gotta kind of share the road, but you can see like this corner up here, you never know what's coming. So I have come along here with a big camper on the back of my truck climbing this hill and met a logging truck. I think it was the next corner up here, so it's a little bit wider, a little bit of a pullout area. But if you're pulling a big trailer or something going slow, you kind of want to get past this. Oh, and there are cattle on the road up here usually. A lot of times they're they just let them off and graze for the summer and round them back up in the fall. But chances of seeing stuff like that pretty common. As well as I've seen lots of moose up here, deer, bears. There used to be a bear I'd see every year up at Roche Lake. It's what they call a cinnamon bear, so it's a recessive gene, but the bear is almost kind of light brown, reddy kind of color. I used to see them walking the shoreline almost every year. The camping up here, this became a provincial park up around Roche Lake and the other lakes. I think in the mid-90s, it became a provincial park. So there is a couple of private property on the lake, pieces of private property. So that was before it was made a park. But it was kind of free for all up here, and you could camp anywhere. It was kind of nice. You wouldn't have to pay. But now I think it's about $15 a night, I think. And that might be seasonal, kind of mid-September to maybe beginning of October, somewhere around about there. But check into it, and also check the regulations, because there is some different regulations. Not all the lakes are open for fishing. And I think there's even a lake that's restricted, age restricted for kids and seniors, something like that. I think it's one of those ones they try to promote young people from, learning how to fish. So they put some smaller or larger numbers of fish in the lake. They'd be smaller, but just so they can catch something. And a lot of the lakes up here have what they call aerators in them, because they're somewhat shallow. And these lakes up here freeze pretty solid. They put aerators in them to keep oxygen in the water, kind of like a fish tank. Because when all that vegetation and stuff in the water dies when the ice is on top of it, it just takes all the oxygen out of the water, and all the fish end up dying when the snow melts and the ice melts. All these dead fish all over the place, but they still suffer from what they call winter kill, a lot of these lakes. But so the aerators, what that means is, if there was ice on the lake, you don't want to walk on a lake that's got an aerator in it, because you'll find a thin spot, or a spot where there might not be any ice. And there's been lots of instances where people with snowmobiles or walking around have gone through the ice, because normally it would have a couple of feet of ice, but yeah, the aerator keeps it thin because it's always moving. I used to come up here every year with the May long weekend, and even though the snow for the most part would be gone, it usually snowed in the evenings every year. So it's kind of a given it was always going to snow when you were up here. But so the May long weekend, we used to come up here and go fishing all the time, and everybody else did too. So when we get to the lake, you'll see this large field. It used to just be packed with as many vehicles and campers and trailers that you could fit in there. As you can see, this road's pretty good. This is the middle of summer, but in the spring, you might end up having more potholes. But I've seen small little cars up here. If you go slow enough, you'll be okay. But motorhomes, everything, Class A's, lots of trailers. I think that's why it's so popular. It's just so easy to get to, too. And the fish are big. Like, you can get, anywhere 6 pounds, really common, and, up to 10 pounds I've seen out of here. But, and that's rainbow trout. So that's a pretty big fish on a fly rod. A lot of people troll here too. I don't know, check the regulations. There's different regulations as far as that goes. One area on the lake, on Roche Lake, I guess it's the south, but they refer to it as the west. I think the west campground. Anyway, just past there, the lake becomes electric motors only. So I think this is where the park starts. On the map, we're at the top left. So if you pause it, you have a look, and you can see all the lakes inside this park. We're going to go past a couple of them here on the road. I've camped at Roche Lake. Of course, there's 2 different campgrounds, one on each end of the lake. And when I say campground, I mean campsite. So they are $15 a night, and I think they're referred to as like a recreational site. There's also one at another lake called Horseshoe Lake, which is just before Roche Lake. It'll be the next road on the right is going to head to the west, Roche Lake West Campground, and the Horseshoe Lake Campground. Should be just coming up here. But I just saw online that they're closed. If you're watching this now, they're September 7th to October 22nd. That road's going to be closed because I guess they're upgrading the campground finally, so that's cool. The road to the west side of Roche Lake that's the road there, is just brutal. This gets worse and worse. They haven't run a grader down there probably in 20 years. So it's like bulldozer time to clean that up. And even with a pickup truck, a four-wheel drive truck, it's pretty rough. Hard on your truck. By the time you get there, you're wondering if you should have turned around about 100 times probably. So this lake here on the right, I think it's called Roche Lake. This might be one of those lakes with the age restriction, like I was saying, but it has an aerator on it. So you can see if people came up here in the winter, they want to go ice fishing, they go out there, they don't realize there's an aerator out there. And some of these lakes I think are closed for ice fishing too. So anyway, there's so many rules and regulations, you better check yourself. Google the area and find out what's allowed. This little lake here, I think it's Tulip. I get them mixed up. I think this little thing here on the right is called Tulip Lake. They've got a really good boat launch here at the this end of the lake too. They redid it a couple years back. And these lakes, I think most of them, I think they said there's 7 of them in the park that are stocked every year. So you can see the stocking reports. You could do a Google search for Freshwater Fishery Society of BC and then type in the name of the lake. And you can see how many times and how many fish they're putting in there over a span of a couple of years. They give you an idea of the size that they're putting into. Kind of nice having that information when you're trying to decide where to go for the summer. But this is a nice spot, but it does get windy up here. And the wind blows down the lake, so towards this end. So, yeah, you can be pretty rough if you're in a boat or something. The resort has proper dock and stuff down there as well, so if you pay to stay there, either in their campground or one of their cabin chalet things, I think you get access to all that. But I think there's a swimming pool there even. It's kind of more of a kind of family oriented kind of place. All these roads, like that one back there, I think it goes to Black Lake. Gotten pretty rough over the years. It used to be easy to get into, but now it's pretty rough. I might try to drive in there and have a look. So you can just see that's Roche Lake ahead of us. It's quite a long lake for this area. Stopped to have a look at the signs, and I think it said $15. $15 a night. So there's little pathways kind of on the right. They're not properly defined campgrounds. Or campsites. It's just find a spot that's level. There's kind of terraced from so many people over the years taking their trailers and campers and stuff down on the right in the grass. It's almost terraced now. But if it rains, it can be an adventure to try to get out of there. People just spinning out on the grass and the mud and everything. But it's a super nice lake. Great lake for fishing, like I say. Fish, you can swim here. They're like most of the lakes. Well, actually, all the lakes in BC pretty much. They have leeches and stuff like that. So, but nothing to be worried about. Yeah, this is really nice. It used to just be kind of a gravel thing that went to the lake, and it had a couple big rocks right at the end. But anyway, thanks for joining me. If you like this kind of stuff, think about subscribing and give it a like. I'd appreciate that. And I'll catch you on the next one.